Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Real-ationship Goals. We are back with episode 5. I'm Kyla, Mariana,
and I'm Maria.
And this week we have another media analysis for you. So we are going to be looking at the song If I Were a Boy, which has some mildly disputed origins. We've talked about it a few times so far this week. So the song was originally written by
BC Jean and Toby Gad.
Yes. But it's most popularly known as being sung by Beyoncé. So, yeah, but we're gonna dive right in. I guess I'll go ahead and kick us off with the first one.
Cool. You gotta sing it though.
Nope. Nope. Sorry. Hate to disappoint, but so first one kicks off. If I were a boy, even just for a day, I'd roll out of bed in the morning and throw on what I wanted and go drink beers with the guys and chase after girls. I'd kick it with who I wanted and never get confronted for it because they'd stick up for me.
I'm not a boy, but I literally just this morning even rolled out of bed and grabbed clothes like right on. But I do see where she's coming from because I think it is like a common perception that like being the dudes, like they do whatever they want. Like I know a lot of the times, like in unhealthy relationships, I might say, it's like the guy does whatever he wants, and then the girl is like, expected to
along for the ride.
Yeah, she's just there to wait on him, quote unquote. But
I think it also speaks to. And I think we've been seeing a shift in this, thankfully, more in the last several years, but still something that super existed. There are different standards and expectations for like men and women. Like so, in a lot of ways, so like and a part of that I think is also expectations of like what they look like, how they dress, things like that. So like there is kind of this expectation of like, oh, well, men can just wear to a degree whatever they want, but there's kind of that gendered expectation of women need to take more time. They need to look pretty. They need to dress up nicely and things like that. So I think it's a kind of a double-edged sword of it's like, here's this expectation, but at the same time, it's like the song is kind of to a degree furthering that expectation, I guess, in a way of like, oh, well, because it is true that boys have a history of being able to wear whatever they want. I don't know. Maybe
kind of takes away from like the girls and the women like not being as so much being able to wear whatever they want or do whatever they want, because they're just held to a certain or a different type of standard than a man.
It kind of like perpetuates that like mentality of guys take like 5 minutes to get ready to go out, and women will take like hours because they're changing every outfit and like like how does this one look, or like I'm not feeling this one today and things like that.
Early 2000s rom-com tropes.
Yes, and then especially like we're not like a fashion, of course, like deal, but if you look at many of the department stores and things like that, like the women's section has like a bunch of selections, but then the men's section, like their form of like getting like nice and like slacks and dress shirts.
The men get a corner, the women get the store.
Yes.
What do y'all think? My brain keeps getting stuck on at the end with the I'd kick it with who I wanted and I'd never get confronted for it because they'd stick up for me. What do y'all think about that? I'm trying to interpret it.
That last bit is kind of a little bit confusing. Like, what do you mean? Like, your homeboys will
Yeah.
like stick up for you, or are you talking about your woman would stick up for you?
I think your homeboys, because it's like, because he's like, yeah, I can go have like a fun time with my homies, and then, but you can't tell me anything about it because it's like Saturdays are for the boys or whatever, right? Like that saying. And they'd be like, man, let him do what he wants.
Oh, yes. Because it's like the thing where it's like, oh, the ball and chain.
Yeah.
It's the ball and chain thing. And the friends are like, oh, you're like, oh, she's being a nag. Oh, she's holding you back. Oh, she never lets you do anything.
Yep.
Oh, you're so whipped. Stuff like, yes. You saying that made that click into my brain.
The Saturday
said,
for
oh
the
my
boys.
gosh, I get it. Now I understand. Oh, yes. Okay, that helped clear it up.
Yeah. Like, don't let her tell you you can't go out with your homies. Like, she doesn't control you. She's not your mom. She can't tell you what to do. I think it's like that mentality that the artist is trying to portray, or the songwriter is trying to portray.
And just highlighting on how like sometimes that can be harmful to a relationship and make it shift it into being an unhealthy relationship because like yes, with the connotation of Saturdays for the boys and like them sticking up for you and like I guess you quote unquote making excuses for you of like, oh, it's okay for me to come in at 2 o'clock in the morning because I was with my friends, and things like that. But I think would it be the same if a woman was to do it? Like night out for the girls and like they come in at 2 o'clock in the morning. Would it be the same?
Like who you with? Why are you out so late? Why didn't you tell me? Or like
the toxic
like, are you sure you were with your girls at this place at this time?
And a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I also think about how lots of potentials for unhealthies here, unhealthy things, and in that also like it is also like unhealthy to be questioning of your partner. Like your partner is allowed to go, should be allowed, not even allowed. Your partner should be able to go out and spend time with friends. They like part of having a healthy romantic relationship is having healthy platonic and familial relationships outside of that. So you want to foster that. You want your significant other to be going out and spending time with other people and having other healthy relationships because that's just good. That is good for us as human beings.
It's not really foster a sense of codependence.
Yes, exactly. And then at the same time, also, like it's also okay to have healthy boundaries as well and to have healthy expectations and understandings of like, hey, maybe not every single Saturday, all day, every day Saturday is for the boys. Maybe it's like more of an every now and then thing, and it's not something that you use as like a weapon over your partner, I guess, is kind of my thought. So just having, it's all about that healthy moderation, baby.
Good, well balanced.
I can do the chorus. If I were a boy, I think I could understand how it feels to love a girl. I swear I'd be a better man. I'd listen to her, because I know how it hurts. When you lose the one you wanted, because he's taken you for granted, and everything you had got destroyed. Well, pure vocal there.
Yes, the chorus, it hits the hardest.
Yeah.
Just, oof. I feel like maybe not everybody, and hopefully not everybody, kind of has that experience of it's like of feeling taken for granted or just feeling like you're not really appreciated in a relationship. And then I don't know, it feels like that leaves like a special kind of wound. So I'm just like, oh, it hurts. Sorry, what were you saying?
I think it's interesting how like they're viewing this from a woman's perspective, but as like they are a different person. If I were a boy, I think I could understand how it feels to love a girl because like taking in consideration of your partner's feelings as the opposite gender and things like that is really important and just like you will be more aware of how you're going about it when you're in that relationship and making sure that you have a well balanced, healthy relationship with that partner and making sure that they don't feel like they're taken for granted. granted and they're appreciated in their relationship.
For sure.
I'm just kind of focused on that last line and everything you had got destroyed. Like that, in a sense, is also, I think, a little bit unhealthy because it's like, this is saying your partner is like everything to you, which, like you were saying earlier, it's having those boundaries and those like clear lines of like, we're in a relationship, but I'm also allowed to do my own thing and you're allowed to do your own thing, have your own interests, have your own friend groups, go out with them is really important. And I think like this is also taking into account like this was an unhealthy relationship that's being described in this song.
I interpreted the last line a little bit differently.
Okay.
And that, yes, it was an unhealthy relationship, but I read and everything he had got destroyed tied directly to because he's taken you for granted. And it was more of like this has been like an unhealthy relationship in a way that has, because this partner has been taken for granted, like their self-esteem has been kind of eroded to a degree, their self-worth has been eroded to a degree, like by this other person through like ignoring them, not listening ties into ignoring, like not having that wealth of like empathy for them, things like that. So I just kind of took it more of like, because he's taken you for granted, it destroyed you, like as a person, like you weren't being treated like a person, like you should have been. That's kind of how I read it.
Okay, yeah.
I think, but it could be anything. Maybe just two.
Sure. If I were a boy, I would turn off my phone, tell everyone it's broken, so they think that I was sleeping alone. I put myself first and make the rules as I go, because I know that she'd be faithful, waiting for me to come home.
Another tear roll moment. I think it's like kind of that also that standard of like, I'm just gonna turn off my phone, like blow up my phone, like whatever, like I don't care about the consequences. If the roles were reversed though, it would be like, why aren't you answering me, this and that? But it would be more like he has the expectation of like she needs to be available when he calls. Which, you know, but no.
What do you think about I don't know. What do you think about so they think that I was sleeping alone?
So they think I was sleeping alone.
I wasn't sure how to, that is like
Cheating?
that. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was that or if it was like, or so that everybody else would be sleeping alone. Like maybe she's a side piece or more of like a hidden relationship kind of thing. I was just,
Or yeah, like you think like trying to display to your friends or whoever you're around that like, oh no, I'm single. I'm not in a relationship or anything like that.
keeping the options open.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah. I'll be taking it anyway.
I think it's unfaithfulness because she does go along like right in that same verse. It's like she'd be faithful waiting for me to come home.
Oh. Nope. Yep. You're right. There it is.
Yep. We don't wait.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, personally, I would not wait.
Yeah, that is so hard.
That goes into the unhealthy interactions in a relationship with being untrustworthy, being untruthful about how you're going about things. So you can benefit from it in a way. And that leads into an unhealthy relationship. So
there's something I think that's like extra sinister about so they think I'm sleeping alone and I make the rules as I go because I know that she'd be faithful. So it's like I can do whatever I want because I know that she will be faithful. So it's just like that just screams weird, uncomfy power dynamic in a way that makes my
like I get to do what I want, you stay right here.
Yeah. It goes back to he's taking you for granted. Yeah. Yeah. Like doesn't value you, he's gone off doing his own thing, being unfaithful. But you're expected to stay home and be faithful and wait and just turn a blind eye.
Like highlighting, I've heard a lot in like different relationships. Even if like you did know about it, like you're not going anywhere. You're still staying.
everything you have got destroyed. All of your self-worth, your self-esteem. You're not gonna leave. You're trapped. You feel trapped with this person.
And it screams manipulation in so many ways, and just like a huge like control, like a power and control dynamic, which is not what we love.
Also, this is whenever I cold read these lyrics a second ago, I was not having any of these thoughts. So I feel like my eyes are being super opened. Then the chorus repeats, and then we have the bridge, which says, "It's a little too late for you to come back. Say it's just a mistake. Think I'd forgive you like that. If you thought I would wait for you, you thought wrong."
Yes, get it, girl. She's finding her self-worth. She's taking back that power and control over her life and her emotions and her mental well-being, which
I also like how it kind of feels like a fourth wall break in the song of like she's been kind of, and maybe part of it is maybe I'm getting a little too armchair therapy meta with it, but it's kind of like she's been like one of the practices that you can do in like therapeutic situations and stuff to process unhealthy relationships is like role play. And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a person who's role playing in her head. Okay, if I was in your shoes, if I was you, this is how I'd act. Why aren't you acting that way? Why aren't you treating me this way that I know I deserve and things like that? And now we've had the breakthrough point. We've had the realization of, wait, no, I deserve better than this.
And I think it like continues on to the chorus. So the chorus repeats, but this is like different, right? Because she says, "But you're just a boy. You don't understand how it feels to love a girl. Someday you'll wish you were a better man. You don't listen to her. You don't care how it hurts until you lose the one you wanted because you've taken her for granted and everything you have got destroyed."
And then the outro. You're just a boy.
Yeah, that kind of hits on like how you said like when people like can role play. Okay, let me put myself in this person's shoes and see how I would react if I was a boy. I would interact this way, but I'm not this person, so I can't make this person interact in the way that I want them to because that is the way I would interact, not them on their own. So,
and kind of looking at the song throughout the whole time, of the choruses especially, the use of boy is very intentional because she'll go, "If you're just a boy," but every time she talks about how she would be, she's a man. She takes responsibilities. She holds herself accountable for her actions. She does all the right things. And that is like the difference of like a boy mentality and a man mentality. If a boy's just like here for the moment, doesn't care, like I'm gonna do what I want, but a man's like, no, like this is not healthy. This is not the way you treat other people.
Right, you were creating revelations for me with this song.
Looking at your pockets,
Once
getting
again,
everything.
as soon as you will say, "Oh, I'm seeing this," I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what's happening." Because as soon as you were like, the use of the word boy, I said
intentional.
Because he's not acting like a man. Because he's acting so immature. Oh, you're so right. And yeah. Oh,
thank you. I was in high school and like later on, I was in relationships that were not like that, and I would always turn to this song and be like, "But you're a boy. You're a boy.
I have to understand this.
Yeah,
You're a boy."
So this song has always been like, oh,
it really is. It's a call. Like that is a part of life. Like it is okay to learn and to grow and to make mistakes. As you get older, there is a responsibility, especially if you're engaging with relationships with other people. You have a responsibility to grow up. You have a responsibility to listen, to care about other people, to respect other people, to take care of the people in your life. And you can't be a man acting like a boy. You can't be a woman acting like a girl. It's time to grow up, and it's time to really think about other people. Not to say that you can't do that as like a youth or as a student. You absolutely can. But there are extra responsibilities, I think, that come up whenever you're in quote unquote adult relationships, but.
I guess when you think about it in the youth perspective, it's like making sure you're treating your partner as a person.
Yes.
You know, since we're talking about the whole dynamic of adults, and like you can't think this way as a woman, or you can't think this way as a man, because it's not going to help you in the long run. But like if you're a teenager, like 16, 17, you have boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff like that, or a partner, your relationships, thinking about it as a way of like, I have to treat this person as a person, like the basic common respect and empathy, and just making them feel heard and appreciated.
And what you said is like, for those listening, you know, you don't, of course, the song was written in a time where it was very binary and it was very like man and woman, and you're able to change the pronouns in the song to fit your situation and your dynamics and things like that. But I was just kind of thinking about it too, like this relates to what we talk about with our youth, and we're talking about like not just like healthy relationships, but like gender norms and stereotypes of like, you know, a lot of, you know, boys are acting this way and whatever, and they hit the revelation, but it's never too early to start empathizing with other people and realizing, like you were saying, like it is another person, and you don't have to feed into these ideas of like the world around you saying like this is what a guy does.
It doesn't always, and it shouldn't take hurting someone else and then losing them through that to realize it's time to grow up. Because I think that's in this final chorus where she says, someday you'll wish you were a better man. You don't listen to her. You don't care how it hurts until you lose the one you wanted because you've taken her for granted and everything you have got destroyed. I feel like I see it on, maybe not so much anymore on TikTok, but I feel like there was a trend for a while where it would talk about how, like especially the stereotype was with guys who were in fraternities, like in college. Okay. What happened?
There's something in my throat.
Oh, do you need water? Okay, water. We'll just pause. I'll cut it out. Louise just interrupted.
I was trying to stop. I was like holding it, and Rich, you can see my face on the camera, just like, oh no.
I can edit it out. Yeah. You good? Are you fine now? But there was a I actually hesitate to call it a trend. I don't know what it was. It was just a few videos that I saw, but where girls were college girls were making light of the fact of they would try to be in relationships with generally it was guys who were in fraternities and things like that. But they would either be in situationships or they would be wanting more of a relationship, and the excuse that the guy, which you never have to be in a relationship if you don't want to be, but the reason that the guy in the fraternity would always give in these stories was, well, I had my heart broken once, like I can't, and the kind of underlying quote unquote joke of it was that it was a relationship that he was in whenever he was like 14. But it shouldn't take a hurt for you to realize, and losing someone for you to realize that you should treat people better.
You can't use that as your crutch.
Yeah.
Later on in life.
Don't use hurts. Don't use bad past relationships or bad breakups to excuse treating people badly. And don't rely on needing to have treated someone so badly that they realize their self-worth and left that situation, that you're like, oh, now it's time to change. Just be better from the jump. People are people.
Wise words by Kyla.
Yeah, people are people. But are there any final thoughts kind of on the song?
I think he's just a boy.
And in that case, we'll go ahead and jump into our relationship goal, which I believe Maria has for us today.
I sure do. in your relationship with other people, especially talking about this, work on your empathy skills, like learn to take things from the other person's perspective. And as you're having this conversation with someone else and understanding where they're coming from, use healthy communication skills and just kind of talk through it in a more, I guess, healthy way with them as you're continuing to form stronger bond with others.
Take the time to put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Walk them out with your Louis Vuitton.
And then I have our recommendation to close this out today. My recommendation is short and sweet. It is sunshine. The weather is slowly but surely starting to get a little bit brighter, a little bit sunnier, a little bit warmer. I want to heavily encourage everybody to take some time to get out in the sun. It is very healing for me. I love the sun. I miss her whenever it is cold and gloomy outside. So take a little bit of time to spend some time in the sunshine. But that's all from us for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for joining us. We will be back next week with our next special topics episode. But in the meantime, if you are just really wanting some more P&E content, you can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention, or you can follow the Advocacy Center on Facebook or on Instagram at advocacy_Waco. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. Interested in more content from P&E or the Advocacy Center? You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. Be sure to like this episode and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Bye.